What's up, everyone? It's DeagleBeagle. So today we're going to actually go over Persian-Alola, however you say it, because Jamie Boyd made a set for Persian, but the comments were even saying that Terra Steel, Alolan Persian didn't make total sense because it's still weak to fighting. Let's just look at it really quick. Black glasses, maybe. What other ideas does he have? Citrus berry. So notice on Persian, you want to be running foul play, fake out, parting shot on pretty much every Persian. And timid does make sense because, well, maybe it doesn't. Fake out is a physical move, but icy wind is a special move. So timid or jolly doesn't make much of a difference. Okay, so this one doesn't even have fake out. I don't know if I would recommend this. Maybe. We'll have to compare it to Grimmsnarl, but typically with Persian, you want to almost always be using fake out, because that's a big niche it has. Fake out and parting shot and foul play. No, this set is garbage, because if they taunt you, well, I guess it's not total garbage, but it's just then Persian doesn't really do anything. Like, it just supports the ally, like, and supports the team, but it doesn't really, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't support it probably as well as fake out would do. You can use, like, let's go back. You can use, like, foul play, fake out, parting shot, and feint over icy wind. That is an option. Parting shot, though, and foul play aren't nearly as good as it used to be. Because I remember Persian-Alola used to be really annoying back when people used Yveltal and other Pokemon. And it's kind of hard to explain why it was pretty good back then. And now you have like a priority parting shot with Grimmsnarl, and you would think, why isn't that used? Because everyone would spam parting shot with stuff. But I think it's just the metagame. It was just different. You would have to. I don't even consciously know all the reasons why. But Fur Coat, I know, it is a good ability even now. And foul play was just better because Pokemon, when it's in a restricted format, foul play tends to be better because they have more attack and whatnot. But now there's a lot of special attackers, and they don't have as much attack. Even the physical attackers don't have as much attack, or they may be more likely now to resist dark than they used to be. So dark offensively, I'd say, got nerfed, and pivoting doesn't seem as important as it used to be, and I don't know all the reasons for that, but parting shot, if it was such an amazing move, you would be seeing everyone run it with Grimmsnarl. But I believe it's because the game is pretty offensive now, more than it used to be, with stuff like Specs Fluttermane and this and that. And so the restricted Pokemon, yes, they did have a lot of offense, but they also had better defensive stats. And people used to run things like belly drum, Snorlax, and whatnot, so foul play was really useful. But now nobody really does stuff like that. Sword stance used to be way more common, so lots of different reasons why Persian-Alola used to be pretty good. But I think it especially was good because it was a good check, I believe, to Lunala, which is 4 times weak to Dark, and it outsped a lot of the metagame. But now they invented a lot more fast Pokemon, like Fluttermane, and that's gonna give Persian-Alola some trouble. So let's look at what they invented since a few years ago. Fluttermane, Qianpao, Iron Valiant doesn't really count because it's not used that much, or Hawlucha. Rory Moon outspeeds it. Sneasler. There's new tail. Well, sorry, it's not a new Tailwinder. So scratch that. Kilowattrel's not used very much. But there's just more Pokemon that outspeed Persian, and Persian's not as anti-meta as it once was. Because if you compare it to Murkrow, it's like when I used it, I just felt like foul play wasn't a very consistent move. There's just a lot of dark resists and a lot of special attackers, ones that aren't very physical. So relying on foul play just doesn't make that much sense. So I'm not saying all the Persians need to run these 3 moves, but they probably should. Because if you get taunted, yes, you are dark type, and most of the taunts are priority taunt, which is kind of stupid unless you literally have nothing better to do, because they can just have a dark Pokemon or Terra Dark and stop your taunt. So Persian-Alola is good in that respect. Being a dark Pokemon and Regulation D is way better than Regulation C, because everyone's using like taunt with Prankster and not remembering, or they are remembering that dark types block it, but they just use it anyways. Okay, so counters them in that respect. But as far as doing damage back, foul play won't do a ton, but you probably should still use it. You can use Snarl, I suppose, instead, especially considering how it has very high defense but low special defense. So there's some ways around that. First, though, you probably should be maxing out the speed on it, because you want to outspeed them. So if they have like a Thundurus, Tornadus, you probably want at least 180 speed. You could probably get away with exactly 180 speed and give it a little extra bulk, because unless they're using a Persian or a Floatzel, that just makes the most sense. Because look at the speed tiers. I included like all the new Pokemon on the speed tiers. So Fur Coat's gonna be probably the best ability for it. Can't take advantage of Rattled or Technician as much as Fur Coat, generally speaking. It's not even really close. So there's some items you could run with it. You couldn't run Assault Vest with this set. I'll show the Assault Vest one later. But again, I'm gonna say it doesn't make sense that he has Steel as, I believe, the only option. And I don't even know if that should be any option, because it's just, it does resist Fairy, which it's weak to. And that's probably the most important thing is to resist Fairy with it, because you don't really need more offense for Dark. but chances are you would almost never use your Terra with Persian. And if they do have Flutter main, probably don't even pick Persian, because you're going to be forced to Terra, most likely, and you probably won't do enough with it. But if they don't have Flutter main, then you could pick Persian possibly, but like I was saying though, it doesn't do much versus special attackers. Snarl can help with that dilemma and parting shot, but you have to have something that really walls whatever they got. So that's the other thing why I think Persian used to be better, is because you had better allies when you could parting shot, that could like bring in a new weather like Primal Groudon or Kyogre, or maybe more intimidate options like Incineroar. So pivoting, I think, was more important when there's restricteds allowed, generally speaking. So let's go over some possible sets. Did he do the same thing as me? Why did he recommend 236? That doesn't even make sense. Let's see if...
And I see no reason why ability as well. Like, Furcoat is great. 162's defense is what Persian has, which is really, really respectable. So it's going to be...
I don't know, but he's probably trying to outspeed people that basically do the speed creep. Or I don't know why he took some out of HP and put it in special defense, if that's to wall something specific, but regardless, it's in the ballpark of probably what it should be. And this thing, it is a physical tank. I'll give it that. But is it going to be very good? Probably not. Not even without any Flutter main. It's good for pivoting. It's good for supporting the team. But as far as really directly countering any Pokemon, not really. It's not going to counter almost any of these Pokemon. It's just going to support the team, but unless they're like weak to dark, it probably won't do much unless they have high attack or are weak to dark. So other things like Clear Amulet were invented that weren't invented years ago, so parting shot's also going to be worse. But parting shot, being a non-prankster one, is good in the sense that you can use it versus dark types, unlike Grimmsnarl. So compare this to Grimmsnarl. What's the only difference between this and Grimmsnarl? Well, the main difference is, like I said, about parting shot working more reliably, even though it has the drawback of not having priority. But the main difference would be a faster fake out, a faster follow me, and a faster whatever move you want to use with it. Or certain moves it gets that Grimmsnarl doesn't get. Like, I don't think Grimmsnarl gets Faint. Yeah, it doesn't get Faint. It doesn't get Icy Wind. It doesn't get Snarl. What else can you use with Persian? Helping Hand might be decent. Thunder Wave, maybe, but you might want to use... Depends on how much you rely on using Thunder Wave or not. Because if you're using it a lot, you probably should be using like Prankster Thunder. Like, you should probably be using Grimmsnarl or Thundurus instead. But if you don't use it that much, then maybe not. But then on the other hand, it's like, if you don't use it that much, it's like, well, why do you have it on the moveset then? You want to have stuff you actually use. So I would recommend it doing something that Grimmsnarl can't do, like Faint, Icy Wind. Does Grimmsnarl learn Helping Hand? Helping Hand is an option, but a lot of Pokemon get Helping Hand, so I don't know if I would really do that or not. Sunny Day with its fast speed or Rain Dance might be an option. I don't know about Quash. It's like, I would think use Murkrow for that because it has priority. Snarl is an option. So something like that. Taunt is also an option to deal with Amoonguss and whatnot. But I don't think I would recommend this Pokemon. I don't see it countering that many Pokemon. So, but I'm just going to finish making a couple Persians just to show you how it can be used. So I generally recommend Poison because it resists Fairy, it resists Fighting, and it also resists Bug, which is what the three things that it's weak to are. And if you're Terra Poison, they can't just like hit you with a move that's gonna do damage to you no matter what. Because if they use a Psychic move against you, then if you don't Terra Stall, then it does nothing. But if you do, yeah, it could. But at least they can't just hit you with a move knowing it's going to do like at least neutral no matter what, or at least resistant damage. So it makes them have to play the guessing game of are you going to Terra Stall or not? Because something like Hatterene would force it into that dilemma. Is it going to just keep its typing, or is it going to change it to Poison? Poison just seems like overall the best. And Fire would be probably even better than Steel because you keep your... Well, it depends on how often Wisp is used. Wisp is actually not very common. So maybe Steel is better. But I don't think it really matters because you probably should be using Poison on every single Persian. So I don't know about Citrus. I don't know about Black Glasses either. I don't think I would use Black Glasses. Maybe. But I'd probably use... Well, if you're using Parting Shot, maybe. But depends on the moveset. You could use Assault Vest with... I'd probably use Assault Vest if it doesn't have Parting Shot. I'll show that in a minute. Or maybe I could show that first. But I don't think I want to show it first because I don't know if that should be the default set or not. We'll have to see how important Parting Shot is for its niche. But it probably should have Parting Shot. Because if you don't, you're just going to have crappy moves. And it's like you might as well use Grimmsnarl or Murkrow instead. So, I mean, Murkrow gets Icy Wind. Granted, it's not as fast. So... and it doesn't get Fake Out. I'd say the main niche of Persian is its fast speed and Fake Out. If you're not using that, then you're probably not using the right Pokemon. So this, and then what did Jamie Voigt have? I think he had Icy Wind and Faint. I don't agree with Rocky Helmet probably because they're mostly going to try to hit it with a physical attack, or sorry, a special attack, not a physical attack, knowing it has that much defense. I mean, but you could put Rocky Helmet on almost anything and it would do alright. It having high defense, though, would make it so that it counters Surging Strike stuff, and just it being harder to kill physically would actually possibly make Rocky Helmet better. It's just, that's if they actually hit you with a physical move, though. But like I said, they might just hit you with a special move, more likely because you have really high defense compared to special defense. So Snarl and either Faint or Icy Wind or whatever. So you could use it like Jamie Voigt had. You could use a Citrus one or Black Glasses one. I don't think you would often foul play with Persian though. So I don't think I would recommend black glasses. Maybe to barely finish something off, but most of the time you just be spamming fake out and parting shot. In theory, at least, that's how it used to be used. Mostly just fake out, parting shot, fake out, parting shot, fake out, parting shot, and use it with a defensive team. And then whatever the other move depends on what your team needs. So hard to say. Because you could just parting shot into a grass type or safety goggles, but you could just use something like taunt. Taunt will probably be pretty common because otherwise the Moongus and other things will give you trouble, and you probably would use that more than something like Icy Wind, but maybe not. Really depends on your team. Or you could use Manual Weather. So, Citrus would be good. Something to help, especially for its special bulk. So yeah, maybe Citrus would be a decent item with it. Focus Sash could be an item for it, even though yeah, Focus Sash would actually eliminate the need for a defensive Terra. So in that case, you might as well use Terra Dark. Probably. You don't need Terra Ghost most likely because you have a faster fake out, generally speaking. But I would probably not use this Pokemon yet. Unless you really think it counters the meta, but I don't think it yet counters the meta. But it will probably get a little bit better as time goes on and people figure out good defensive teams. So I think this is mostly it. Thanks for watching.